Welcome to the Workology Podcast, a podcast for the disruptive workplace leader. Join host Jessica Miller-Merrill, founder of Workology.com, as she sits down and gets to the bottom of trends, tools, and case studies for the business leader, HR, and recruiting professional who is tired of the status quo. Now here's Jessica with this episode of Workology.
Welcome to the Workology Podcast, a podcast for the disruptive workplace leader who's tired of the status quo. We're sitting down today to talk about trends, tools, and case studies for the business leader, HR, and the recruiting professional. Today we are talking about all things women, and part of our Women at Work series, we are discussing how to support new parents and life changes in the workplace. It's no secret that being a new parent is one of the most stressful events of your life. While the transition to being a parent and new provider isn't enough, most parents also have to balance their jobs and careers as well as the new parenting responsibilities. Today I'm joined by Lori Felker Jones. She's the CEO and founder of Juicebox Hero. Lori, welcome to the Workology Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Jessica.
Can you talk a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I have about 15 years of experience working in politics, actually. I ran local, statewide, and a national campaign that primarily focused on women and families. And to just put this a little bit in context of how I got started on this journey is I remember it very clearly. August 13th of 2016, I returned to work after my daughter was born. I had 2 children under 2 years of age at home and 34 progressive female candidates on my roster at the largest political organization in the state of Texas. A few months later, our team elected 29 out of those 34 women, and that was super hard and very rewarding. And the only way it was possible for me to have a big job that I've loved and time and this confidence around my growing young family was because I had amazing childcare partners. But what I couldn't imagine, I couldn't wrap my head around it, was that when and I think this is like a lot of parents, when I found out I was pregnant, I was telling people about 4 months along, my smart friends who were a little bit ahead of me said, "Oh, congratulations, what are you doing for childcare?" And I was like, "What? Why are you asking me? I'm only 4 months along." And they said, it generally takes months and months and months for you to find what you're looking for, get on a wait list, and secure that care. And sure enough, I went on Google and I entered my zip code and daycare. And you know how Google will tell you how many results pop up, and it was over 500,000. And I just about fell out of my chair. I couldn't believe that I didn't know where to go from there. I didn't know how to filter and compare. I didn't know the difference between preschool and pre-K and daycare. How come full-time goes till 3 o'clock? And what do you mean it doesn't include summer? And what's the difference between Montessori? And do I want Spanish immersion? And just I found the process overwhelming. And clearly I was someone who was used to solving big problems. But again, having worked with women and families for years and years and years, I just couldn't wrap my head around why this wasn't easier. And so I complained about it. I figured it out for myself. And then through a fortuitous event, I ran into an old friend and colleague who was a father himself of a young child, and he was also a world-class developer who had recently exited his company, his startup. And I was complaining to him. I said, "Brandon, you would get this." And he said, "Someone is going to do this. Do you want to be that someone? And I will help you." And so here we are about a year later with an online platform that is helping families find what they're looking for in their childcare. So that's kind of how that happened. And in this age of Airbnb, Zappos, Kayak.com, we're trying to provide that modern solution to one of our most important and emotional challenges.
So the company's called, or the platform's called Juicebox Hero, right?
That's right.
Which is the best name ever.
Thank you. Yeah, I instantly know who's a Foreigner fan.
It's so funny because I told my husband about it, and I was like, I think she named it after the song. So we immediately went online to go look at this lyrics, and it's Jukebox Hero, but not Juicebox Hero, but still, every time I hear that song now, I think of your company.
I know, it's great. It's been really, really fun. We know the parenting is challenging. I'm a parent of a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. Last night, my son threatened to call the police on me because I wouldn't take him to the trampoline house. And I think that anyone who's familiar with small children is familiar with the poorly thought out toddler threat. And so we know that the parenting is challenging, and we wanted a fun experience, knowing that this is a significant challenge. We wanted to be the helping hand through this process that people have certainly done for me, that said, we got this. We're going to work it out. It's going to be fine. You are going to be able to do this. And I think that that's what I see. I knew I had it in myself, talked to hundreds of other parents that, we want to be confident. We want to be confident that our small children, our most important people, are being taken care of in a way that is wonderful. And that gives me the confidence to go to work and do my best while I'm at work, because this major concern for me is resolved. And we want to have confidence that we're literally finding the right thing, the way we're going about finding it. We want to have confidence. And so Juicebox Hero is building out that consumer experience so that we know what we're looking for and we can really tackle this challenge with confidence. And I think that's really important to, as you may know, the majority of working people have children. So that means the majority of the workforce is working parents. And the workforce was set up 50 years ago in a different structure. So 50 years ago, the majority of America was single income households. Now, the majority of the workforce is dual income households. So that means 2 people are going to work. So who is watching and taking care of our children? And it's a major challenge. And I see it as business infrastructure for our country to think about how childcare is provided, how people find childcare, what happens on a snow day, spring break, summer. These are major concerns, and we want to make sure that our children have a match that's right for that, and whether it be space-based or super hippy-dippy, you find what you're looking for.
Well, I think this is of particular importance for a lot of reasons, and I do think that companies are starting to look at different perks and benefits that they can provide their employees. For example, last month I was pitched in a PR pitch about Nissan. It was a story they wanted me to cover, which Nissan is now covering all costs associated with shipping breast milk home. Which I think is a great thing as a mom who made the decision to breastfeed her daughter. I think it's an important decision and a service that they're providing. However, I do believe that employers need to go beyond breast milk delivery service or shipping service and look at childcare or a service like yours to be able to help support those parents as they're going through one of the most stressful, especially new parents, time of their lives. So I talk about Nissan and kind of some stuff that they're doing. What do you think are some other ways maybe employers can better support new parents?
That's a great question. And as I mentioned, the workplace has changed from when it was set up 50 years ago for primarily men, and we're talking about a professional workplace, let's be specific. And I'm an optimist. I think that we have amazing partners and employers and really supportive, wise employers understand that the workplace has changed and they're adapting to changes. And so it's really a bunch of wraparound solutions for employees to make sure that we don't see this talent cliff from working parents, whether they be women or men, because modern dads are also taking on really cool new roles at home and therefore at work. So you mentioned Milk Express. I know that there's a startup here in town called Pro Mama that's helping employers find mama-friendly jobs, so project-based work, flexible schedules, and these are high-quality jobs with high-quality talent. SameWorks is an amazing company here in Austin, Texas that is certifying equal pay, so you can zip in your payroll data and figure out whether you are compliant. Childcare is a huge opportunity. I know that some really large employers are able to provide on-site childcare, and that is wonderful, but there's lots of other options, including access to a childcare marketplace. And the childcare piece is actually something that the U.S. Chamber and I know the Austin Chamber has been starting to champion. Like, how do we solve this as business infrastructure for employees and employers so that people can come to work? And I like to say, when we take care of working people can take care of business. So there's multiple solutions, whether it be equal pay, how you recruit and the language you use, how you support working people who are parents with understanding their schedules. And look, I love that saying, if you want something done, ask a busy person. There is no one busier than a person with small children. And again, this is not just a lady problem. I know that I was just reading yesterday about an incredible CEO, a man who was saying that he became a better CEO when he became a parent. It made him laser focused about his time and priorities. I know that some male CEOs have blocked out their calendar that's available for everyone to see in their office. It says, this is when I'm going to pick up kids and having dinner with my family. I think it's really important that, in lots of different ways around the workplace, we know that when we shut off, we're able to recharge and then be better for folks in every area of our life, whether that be at work or at home. So I think that just knowing that people who work for you or you work with have full lives, and that actually makes them more talented at what they do. One last thing I'll say on that is that 85% of consumer purchasing dollars are decided how they're spent by women. And mothers are the biggest consumer spend in this country. So every end user is a consumer. The vast majority of those dollars are spent by women and by women who are mothers. And so if you want to resonate with products and services, then it is going to be really important for you to have people on your team that understand this market. And so it's a great opportunity to understand the talent you have when you employ and promote working women who are mothers.
Agreed. And I love that you make the point that increasingly fathers are stepping up and being involved. It is a team effort, and I'll give you an example. Just today, my husband took my daughter to get her school physical because we're going to camp next week, Girl Scout camp for summer camp. And I had a lot of things going on. I've got a big conference happening next week for those of you who are listening. I know you'll hear this after the fact, but I'm heading to SHRM. So this is just before SHRM. So I'm pre-SHRM, getting ready for the craziness that will happen in Chicago. I just didn't have the time, and thankfully Greg, my husband, was like, hey, I got it, I got this, and took her to the doctor for me today. Super helpful. Oh my gosh. But I do the same thing for him.
That's right. My husband's doing pickup today for daycare because I have an after-work thing that's awesome, and we have partners. It really does take a village. I consider our daycare workers, they're childcare partners, but my kids spend sometimes more time with them than they do with me. And I tell you what, and it's kind of hard to admit this as a mom, but they do a better job in certain respects, right? I'm always going to be their mom, but these are educated childcare professionals and early educators. They know what they're doing in those ways. My kids don't want to hang out with me while I goof around in an Excel spreadsheet doing budget forecasting. That's not fun for them. And they really thrive in a social environment with their peers. And I really rely on these experts to be my partners in educating our young children.
So as I was prepping for the show today, our interview here, I found an interesting study from 2017 from the London School of Economics. And it's a British survey that I felt like really showcased how hard it is to be a new parent with a not sleeping baby and a full-time job. So I remember those days. Although Riley is 9 now, which is really hard for me to believe, every time a baby, this is what the study says, every time a baby woke up during the night, parents, namely moms in their research, lost about 30 minutes of sleep. And every additional hour the baby slept, moms only gained 12 minutes of shut-eye. And the research said that this had profound effects. If moms scored a precious extra hour of sleep, they saw a 4% increase in employment prospects and a 7% increase in the hours they worked and an 11% increase in their household income. So sleep equals happier moms, better kids, and more income for your family. So I wanted to ask you, as a mom with 2 young children too, who is probably sleep deprived, but maybe not, but what's some advice that you can give parents for being able to maintain their productivity and be their best selves at work?
I think it's really important to be kind and gentle to ourselves. I'm a woman and the kind of person that puts really high standards and expectations on myself and my work and how I want to show up for myself and my friends and my family. And it's been really important to let loose a little bit on the reins and know that I'm doing a good job and I'm not doing it alone. And I think that that's really what I think that we all need to remember is that having children is a very normal occurrence. It's a very typical thing that the majority of the workforce goes through. It's certainly given me more compassion for other people, knowing that maybe I'm talking to someone else who's sleep deprived. And I also know that it makes us, again, laser focused on our priorities. I don't have as much time to go round and round and round and pick at something that is just perfectly great enough. It gets the job done in a way that really satisfies the problem we're trying to solve. And so I think it's important to have realistic standards, especially for people that are used to going above and beyond. And then I also recently got some wise counsel regarding effectiveness and what we consider results. That I know that I had collapsed getting tasks done with my results in my life, and I was really getting a payoff of I got this done, I got this done, I got this done, and that's hard to measure when you're being with your family. It's not a real get things done kind of a place. It's a place where it's been important for me to remember to be present and enjoy not getting things done. Because with 2 small children, that's kind of the name of their game, is they don't get a lot of things done. And so just really enjoying the different parts of my life. And my mom used to say that her work was a respite from us, and we were a respite from her work. She had a big job working in the health department. So I think she was a good example of a woman who was a working mom of my sister and I are 3 years apart, and so we were there together. She was a single mom for a while, and I think that we have to look to our village and people at work and our friends in college as well.
What about advice for business leaders and managers? How can they better support those parents?
I think going back to talking about our most productive selves, I think we all know that there's someone in the office that is really good at getting all these tasks in a row, and then there's someone else, or maybe it's the same person, who is able to say the thing that makes all the difference. And having that professional experience oftentimes is informed by our lived experience, right? Like going back to if we're serving working people, who the majority of whom are working parents, and consumers, who the majority of whom are women and mothers, then we're going to have an insight that may not show up on your to-do list, but is valuable and worth something. So understanding, again, that your results are more than your to-do list, and producing results is what's important. For managers, I think, again, going back to getting interested in what your employees are dealing with, whether it be a medical condition that isn't related to raising a family, or and accommodations that are appropriate for that, and the particular challenges around being the primary caretaker, whether that be of young children or older adults, and how we can just be our best selves at work, knowing that we have life is about more than work. And I'm someone who loves a big challenge and works a lot and really enjoys it. But I have to remember that I'm working to provide better lives for families, and especially families with young children, and that includes me. So sometimes I have to trick myself into saying that if I'm working on a family-friendly company, it is on brand for me to turn my phone off. It is on brand for me to go away for the weekend and be present with my family. And I think that benefits everybody.
Let's take a reset. This is Jessica Miller Merrill, and you are listening to the Workology podcast. We're talking about how employers can better support parents and families. Today, I'm talking with Lori Felker Jones, and she's the CEO and founder of Juicebox Hero. You can follow Lori on Twitter at HeyLFJ for Lori Felker Jones. This podcast is part of our Women at Work series, and you are one of the most supportive women of other women that I've met since I moved to Austin almost a year ago. Can you talk a little about your philosophy and why you do what you do?
Well, thank you. And sometimes I just feel like little old me just doing what I'm doing. I get so much out of the community of women, working people that I am lucky to be a part of. I know that I've grown a particular community around female founders here in Austin because I wanted to talk to people that have similar challenges that I do. I mean, I'm a business owner, and I have those challenges. I'm a startup founder. Those are particular challenges. But as a working parent and a working woman, I have a unique set of challenges and opportunities. And it's so helpful to be able to share honestly and vulnerably about what that is like, or particular tips and tricks, or particular funding opportunities, or people that get it. That is wonderful. So part of my building the community, again, the community includes me. So I get a huge amount from it. And I just come from a background that is rising tide lifts all boats. When we all do better, we all do better. And I'll throw another cliche out there. Now I've forgotten it. Maybe it's because I'm a parent of young children. So maybe that's relatable. But carry as we climb, right? I think that I compete with myself, and I'm a pretty good competitor of myself. And I think that I just get so much from other people helping each other out. And I don't know, it's a pleasure.
Well, I really have appreciated. I mean, you were one of the first people when I moved to Austin that shot me a note and said, hey, let's go for coffee. And I felt like it was just a really easy conversation. And I've continued to watch you do that on social media and through the Facebook group and the community that you've built ongoing. Like, you are truly someone who I feel like has really made me feel welcomed in a city that has so many people coming and going, and it's a growing area.
Oh, well, that's nice to hear. I appreciate that. I'm the person in my neighborhood that talks to the neighbors. We have a block party that I have fallen into the role of organizing a couple times a year. I think it's part of my superpower and also part of my weakness that I feel like there's not enough hours in the day to catch up with all the people that I want to catch up with. And I'm very, very fortunate to know really interesting people that are up to something. And that includes you. So thank you for having me and sharing your expertise with me. I mean, you know the ins and outs of what we're trying to do to expand the workplace to make it an awesome place for people to contribute their talents. And that looks like all different kinds of people.
Well, so Lori, again, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people go to connect with you and learn more about Juicebox Hero?
So Juicebox Hero is juiceboxhero.com. And we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. And my Twitter, my personal Twitter is HeyLFJ. And I love connecting with people. I'm a busy person. I do really well with an agenda, and I am a very big fan of don't ask, don't get. So feel free to just get straight to the point. I'm a pretty straight shooter, and my focus right now is on helping more and more parents find what they're looking for and helping businesses create a great environment for working parents. So if you're into that, then I definitely want to talk. And yeah, I look forward to learning what other people are up to and how we can collaborate.
One thing that Lori mentioned in her interview was the purchasing power that women and especially new parents have. I think that's also true for jobs. Parents need a workplace that suits their lifestyle, which includes taking care of young children. I love Lori's supportive nature. She really is the nurturer of relationships among women businesses, especially here in Austin. I really admire her for that. Thank you for joining the Workology podcast, a podcast for the disruptive workplace leader who's tired of the status quo. This is Jessica Miller Merrill. Until next time, you can visit workology.com to listen to all your previous podcast Workology episodes.